Hello everyone, my name is BlackWatch and welcome to Operation White Noise. That's right, the update's finally dropped, the new operators are here, and in particular, this week we're going to be focusing on Zofia, also known as Zofia Bossack, also known as Ella's older sister. She's the operator I was least enthusiastic about in this new update, until I actually played her, and I discovered very quickly that she could potentially be one of my favourite attackers. Let's see how to play her. So, Zofia is a 2 armor, 2 speed attacker on the Grom CTU. That's the one, the Polish Grom. She has access to 2 primary weapons, the LMGE, which is, as always, it's an LMG. It's not that good, especially compared to her alternative, which is the M762AR. It doesn't call it an AR, but it is an AR, and it's one of the AK platform guns, so it looks very nice, it sounds very good, and it performs very, very well. Decent rate of fire, good damage, very controllable recoil. I highly recommend you use this over the LMG. It's just not a standout weapon when compared to this beautiful little AK. Her secondary is the RG15, that's the same pistol that Ella has access to, and so in a similar situation it also has the mounted optic on it, which is the only pistol in the game that has an optic so far. So her secondary gadgets are breaching charges and a claymore. I would go with the breaching charges personally, although if you enjoy using the impact grenades as your primary breaching tool, then feel free. The claymore, on the other hand, I just tend not to use it most rounds, whereas the breaching charges I like to use just as an alternative rather than having to use her main gadget, which is the KS-79 Lifeline launcher. This is a launcher that has 2 tubes to it. All the rounds are fully loaded at once, so there's no need to reload the weapon. You only have to switch a switch to go between firing modes. And there are 2 impact grenades in the first one, which is your primary mode. They're for taking out walls very quickly. The hole is about the same size as a regular impact grenade thrown from the hand by a defender. It's not as good as Ash's breaching round. Obviously, Ash's breaching round opens up walls with a runnable hole, but it's still pretty good. So she has 2 of those, and she has 4 concussion grenades. Now, these work in pretty much the exact same way as the gadget mines that Ella deploys. And what these do is they hit your opponent with a concussive blast that knocks them in a position where they can't really see too much, they don't move as quickly, and they're just generally kind of fuzzy for a little bit. Now, she has 4 of these, and they're proximity detonated, so if an enemy walks close to them, or if they're in that area when you launch them, they will detonate as soon as they get close to that particular person. So, as I say, line of sight, once they hit it, that's them, it's burst. So her strengths, and there are many. She has a very, very good primary. She has a great diverse gadget that is full of utility. She has absolute buckets of utility, and she has a really good handgun, so her kit as a whole is very strong. One thing I failed to mention was her withstand ability, which is incredibly unique. It's the only operator that's had an ability like this, and it's triggered when you go into DBNO, and that is when you can essentially hold F in the same way that you would hold your blood in. Instead of holding your wound, you actually lift yourself up, and you'll only have 1 HP once you revive yourself, but it's still a chance to get yourself up if there's no teammates nearby. Obviously, if there are teammates, go with their heal because they can give you 50 health versus the single point of health that you'll receive by helping yourself up. It's definitely not as quick as it is when Doc slaps himself with a stim pistol, but it's completely unique to the attackers. They've never had something like this before, so it is pretty cool, albeit situational. All of these things add together to make what I find to be the strongest operator in this update. In terms of weaknesses, in all honesty, there's only really 2 things that stand out, and one of them is only semi-weakness, which is Ella. Ella is obviously the soft counter towards Zofia, and the reason being is that they both have partial immunity to each other's gadgets. So the gadget mine won't do as much to Zofia, and similarly the concussion grenade won't do as much to Ella. So they both have the same effect hitting them, they just last a lot less. They don't last as long, rather, and they're not as intense. That's the only thing. You also get 10 points extra for killing your sister for some reasons. Just strange little details that you add in. The other weakness is the fact that her launcher is a launcher. You have to pull it out and hold that specifically when you're going to use it. So it maybe leave you vulnerable at times where you stand in with this thing out and people walk up to you and slap you if you're not paying attention, that sort of stuff. But it's all little details that can be alleviated quite quickly, mainly through the fact that her concussion grenades don't need a direct line of sight to actually be effective. They bounce. So if you launch them and there's no enemy nearby, they'll bounce off of surfaces and then they'll just wait for a little minute and then they'll detonate. So you can have a situation, like you'll see in this video, I'm not sure exactly when because I'm recording the voice line before the video goes up. And that is when essentially I shoot against a wall because I know a Caveira's around the corner and the grenade bounces off the wall and detonates because she's there. That's the kind of strength you have with this gadget. You're not having to fully expose yourself to get that use out of it, and that's exactly how you should be using it. With the breach, however, obviously you do need a line of sight because it's going to impact the wall and will detonate on that impact. So you need to know where you want to launch it, when you want to launch it, and what you want to take out. Just be aware that it shouldn't be used as a damage dealing thing. This isn't a grenade launcher in the traditional sense with other games that would have grenade launchers. This is definitely a destructive tool, not a damaging tool. So my advice with a concussion grenade is to use it as a proxy check. That is where you maybe know someone's in a room, take Vigil for example, and you can't necessarily drone him out to get him in. Maybe you've run out of drones, or maybe it is a Vigil who is sitting there and you can't actually see where he is. Instead, you could launch a concussion grenade into the room, and if it detonates very quickly in whatever direction that you've hit it, you know that someone is there, and as long as there's one corner or one piece of cover, you're going to know almost exactly where they are, and you can push them with a level of confidence, also knowing that they've just been concussed, so they have that negative effect going on. They're going to be much less effective in the firefight than they would have been if you hadn't slapped them across the head with a big boom to the face. So a general sort of soft wall push with Zofia would be breaching quickly and then switching to your concussion, slapping some concussion grenades into the room and then pushing. It's better to do that than to just breach and push, because if you breach and push, you're probably going to get taken out. You don't have the advantage of the 3 speed that Ash has when she does a breach and push. You only have that 2 speed, and you might as well use a concussion whilst you have it, because you're going to put yourself in a slightly better position than you would have been had you not thrown the concussion grenade at them. But similarly, as what I mentioned before in the weakness of having a launcher, use it quickly and then put it away. So don't go running into a room with it still drawn and then take the shot. You want to put your launcher away as soon as possible, just whenever it's feasible to actually get rid of it. And make sure that you bounce them to reach those areas that you otherwise wouldn't reach. Don't try and expose yourself to hit something when you could easily just knock it off of a ceiling or something to get it to that particular opponent. The best ways to use this gadget I've found so far have been to flush out roamers. So I'll pick up a specific area that I know is roamer laden. I'll find out if there's one nearby and I'll use it to launch in and just take them out, because they're going to be in a position where they're much less effective in that firefight, and it's perfect for you because you know where they are and you know that they're not going to be as switched on as they would be if their ears weren't ringing. You could also use it to flush out tight anchors. These are the kind of players that are sitting on site, but they'll be dug in quite well. So the likes of a Doc or an Echo who's sitting behind a shield, maybe a solid piece of cover, you can launch a concussion grenade at them, and there's going to be 2 ways that they'll react generally. They're either going to try and reposition because they think that they're vulnerable wherever they are, or they're going to stay hunkered down, but as a result they're only going to be picking one particular angle of approach. So you could jump over them, you could run around them. There's all sorts of things you could do from there to take advantage of that situation, but it will make the anchors a lot more malleable, shall we say, to your push. Try and use your gadget from cover if you can. So if you're in a room and you have some cover in front of you, say a shield, and you know someone's over that shield, over across the side of the place, don't peek up and then launch it. Look up in the air, bounce it across, or look at the wall to your right or your left, bounce it off the wall towards the enemy. Just make sure that you use the bouncing ability of the concussion grenades. It's so strong. If it had just been an impact grenade with a concussive effect like the regular launcher, yeah, that's fine, but the fact that you can do this makes it that much easier and that much more enjoyable to use. The last thing would be to learn the detonation time of the grenades. It doesn't take too long to detonate, but once you differentiate between a natural detonation and a detonation by proximity, you'll be able to take advantage of those pushes that little bit more. So guys, these are my early tips for Zofia. She's definitely the one that I've enjoyed the most out of this update so far. She's one who I really didn't expect to be playing and enjoying as much as I have, so I'd highly recommend you go and check her out. Above all else, guys, I really hope you're enjoying this update as much as I am, and I look forward to seeing you in the next guide. I'm not going to tell you which one it is because there's so many options now. I've got so many different operator videos pretty much done, but I wanted to make sure I got at least one white noise operator covered for you as soon as possible. So I'll see you out in the siege battlefield and such. Do svidaniya, guys. Bye-bye.